Janet Yellen is the second cabinet secretary to make a goodwill mission to Beijing in the last few weeks. We spoke with her exclusively before she departed China. At the top of your meeting with the Chinese vice premier, he actually acknowledged one of those awkward moments. He mentioned the Chinese spy balloon. He called it an airship. Can you say at this point that tension has been smoothed over?
Well, what I can tell you is that I had a very constructive visit. I received a warm welcome and had very substantive series of meetings. We had substantive conversations about the global economy, developments in our own economies, financial markets, and a list of concerns that each of us brought to the table that we agreed to follow up on over time.
Understood. The U.S. ambassador to China, Nick Burns, told me just last month that 4 or 5 different American companies had been experiencing intimidation at the hand of Chinese authorities, and he pointed towards an espionage law that had recently been rolled out. Did you get assurances that American firms won't be intimidated?
Well, that certainly is one of the concerns that I expressed. I had the chance to meet with American businesses and to hear about their concerns, but and certainly in my meetings, that is a concern that I raised. It's something that we will have further conversations about and try to address over time.
The administration has taken some targeted national security-focused measures that do impact trade and the economy, including some restrictions on high-end technology sales. The administration is reportedly also considering restrictions on computer chips related to artificial technology and cloud computing. Do you have a sense of what the retaliation will be from China when the U.S. does this?
Well, an objective of my trip was to explain that national security is something that we can't compromise about and we will protect. And we will do so even if it harms our own narrow economic interests. But that when we take such actions, which do have an effect on the Chinese economy, that we will make sure that they are transparent, narrowly targeted, and well explained. And this is a point that I tried to make in my conversations with Chinese counterparts. I would point out that the Chinese also protect their own national security through export controls and other similar devices, including controls on outbound investment. I explained that President Biden is examining potential controls on outbound investment in certain very narrow high technology areas, and that if we go forward with these, that they will be indeed very narrowly targeted and should not be something that will have a significant impact on the investment climate between our two countries.
You're talking there, I think, about the long-delayed executive order that would put some restrictions on what American companies can do when it comes to investing in China. Is that still in question?
That's right.
Did you hear anything in your meetings that would make you tweak it, change it, pull back from it?
Well, mainly I tried to explain what it is that we're contemplating. It's still something being discussed in the administration, and the timing of it is not yet certain.
Does that mean there's a chance that the Biden administration will drop it, that they won't issue this executive order?
Well, no final decision has been made, but as I've said previously, this is something we're looking at very carefully.
You did mention there an action China just took in regard to export controls, meaning they have this stranglehold on a lot of critical minerals, and they just blocked the export of 2 of them that are really essential for computer chips. How should people understand this? Is this a warning shot? Is this Beijing saying, look at what we can do, and if you take further restrictions, we'll ramp it up from here?
Well, I certainly express concern about this action and contrasted it with the actions that we've taken. Our own actions are narrowly targeted to address national security concerns, and it's not clear that the actions that the Chinese took are similarly narrowly targeted at their national security concerns. So this is an area that I expressed concern about.
Do you mean, are you suggesting there that it was just a retaliatory action?
Well, potentially.
Are you concerned that this is the beginning of an escalation?
Well, my purpose is to make sure that we don't engage in a series of unintended escalatory actions that will be harmful to our overall economic relationship with one another. And we have had very little contact, both senior officials and also just the American people and the Chinese people have had very little contact with one another over the last several years, in part because of COVID. And that's a situation where misunderstandings can develop. We have a new team on the economic side in Beijing, that it's important to establish person-to-person relationships and to open ongoing channels of communication where concerns can be aired and discussed. And I do think my trip has been successful in forging those relationships and creating the opportunity for a deeper set of more frequent contacts at our staff levels.
I was just in China. I know how much concern there is there about the slowing of the economy. Are you concerned that the slowdown in China will have a negative impact and drag U.S. growth?
Well, that is a topic that I discussed with my Chinese counterparts. We talked about the policy actions that they think see as appropriate to stimulate their economy and promote what they describe as high-quality growth. And I was able to better understand the actions that they do think are appropriate.
How significant are the problems in the Chinese economy?
You know, I think that they've opened up their economy following its closure from COVID and are working through a series of issues relating to issues in the property sector and real estate. And consumer spending there has rebounded a little bit less. Consumers are showing more caution and saving more than many commentators expected, many economic forecasters expected. But my counterparts talked about their perspective on this and the actions that they're taking.
Before I let you go, I do want to ask you about the economy here at home. What signal should Americans at home be looking for to understand that economic growth will be back at a point like it was before the pandemic?
It's my hope that and belief that there is a path to bring inflation down in the context of a healthy labor market. And the data that I've seen suggests we're on that path.
The jobs number did suggest a little bit of a slowdown there. Is the risk of recession completely off the table from your point of view? I mean, where do you put the odds?
It's not completely off the table, but we would expect with the job market as strong as it is now to see a slower pace of ongoing job gains. Prime age labor force participation is at the highest level in several decades, so we've seen this strong job market attract workers back to it. But as that stabilizes at a high level, we should expect the monthly job gains to be coming down toward a more normal level.
And you can see our full conversation with Secretary Yellen on our website or our YouTube channel.